Hello, everyone. We are on week 2 of preparing for the Chinese New Year. So I hope you have your prana glasses out and you have been looking through a different lens at your world and seeing things of having pranic value. So my relationship with T, who's the secret behind the camera, like we have a value, an energy value, and when she comes in, I have such love for her, like it actually raises my vibration. I'm hoping that this last week you started to realize more than just rooms, but your thoughts have energy, your expression of your thoughts have energy, your relationships, aspects of your relationships have energy, and to just be evaluating all of that and looking at where you might have some blockages, some granties. And if you're reading Karen Kingston and Marie Kondo, you know that one of the most healthy, liberating things you can do is let go of things in your life that aren't serving you anymore. So I always like to do a little show and tell this time of year, so you'll all remember that this is the Chinese feng shui compass. We also have the low pendant that we also have on the altar. But I love this one so much. I've had it for years. The compass in the middle, all these markings around the side that probably hard for you to see, but they're bars from the Tao Te Ching, solid and broken. And what they mark are the different elements, like earth and fire and water. And then you can see the pie shape that comes out of them are all this Chinese calligraphy, which personally I can't read. But I'm fascinated by it because I can totally see by looking at this compass that it's a science. And then when you flip it around, we start to understand more about the science of understanding space. So I am space within this space, and if I flip it around, we have the astrological map about how we're held in even a bigger space and understanding our place and all that and the energy around it. It helps me to look at the feng shui compass and just to see that this is a science. And in this science, it's part of our medicine and how we keep ourselves healthy. Last week we talked about meridians. And now I'm talking about if I could see like energy channels around me. When Karen was here, who was our wonderful sound healer, and she had the bowls for us, she talked about rings around us of energy and how sometimes we get sticky peanut butter in our rings, and if we don't take care of that sticky peanut butter, then other things stick to it till it becomes its own little mass of energy, which all of these teachings are the same. They're just different languaging around them. This teaching is about where we have blockages and we get stuck. So this is, for me, a time to evaluate and see where we might be stuck. Every year it's fun because people tell me different stories about, like, I cleaned my garage and you know, and we were doing a shoe of, we're collecting shoes right now for someone's soccer team, used shoes, and one of the families came up with 47 shoes that they weren't using to donate. One family came up with 47 shoes. But if you're doing this where you're checking on, do I use this? Do I love this? You realize how much just creates clutter and blockages in our life and this is what I really want to talk about today. I want to talk about the feeling of joy and liberation when you let go of something that doesn't serve you. In Light on Yoga by B.K.S. Iyengar, he talks about the yamas, which are part of the 8 limbs of Ashtanga. And in that, we understand that there are this idea of non-stealing and also non-hoarding. And these teach us, of course, we always think like, who would go to the Hobie store down the road and take a sweatshirt that they didn't pay for? So we think, oh, I don't steal. You know, or hoarding, we think, oh, we watched the hoarding show. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not like that. Like, you can at least see all the books on my shelf. But there's a spectrum that if we really start looking at it to realize, like, if I'm keeping things that I don't actually use and I don't even actually love anymore, in our yoga philosophy, that is considered a form of stealing because someone could be using it. Someone could love that book that I'm not using. Someone could use those shoes that I don't wear. I always tell this story, but when we had the Shala next to the juice bar, this time of year I was cleaning out all my yoga clothes and different clothes, and I gave the girls, there were 2 sisters that worked at the juice bar, and I asked them if they might want some of my clothes that didn't fit me or didn't look right on me, and they were super happy to receive this clothes. And the fun thing, and we don't always get this, but for me the fun thing was when I would go get juice for the following weeks, months, and years, I would see them wearing this clothes that I wouldn't have worn because it didn't look good on me or whatever it is. And it brought me so much joy to see this clothes being used and to see someone happy with this. So, for me, it really helps me to get into that mindset too of what am I actually not using that I'm hoarding. Karen does a great job in her book about talking about why we keep things. Sometimes we keep things because, well, this jacket was expensive, or I keep things because, well, it used to look good on me and I've gained a little weight, so it might look good on me in the future. Or I keep it because my mom gave it to me and I love my mom. But my mom and I have this agreement, by the way. She would want me to share this with you, that if we give each other something and doesn't really suit us, we don't like it, that we have permission from each other to give it away in love and to not feel any of that weird guilt stuff around it, but to just let it flow. It's like the ocean waves that come in and then it releases back out to the ocean, that we just let things flow through our life and let them go and they don't serve us anymore. And what you'll find is that the more that you practice, it is a practice. I mean, I would think as a yogi that I don't have a lot of clutter or I don't have a lot of things that I hoard, but every year I have so much to give away as I go through this process. It's really amazing how we continue to keep collecting without realizing it. I was sharing with the class on Sunday that when I lived in Japan many, many years ago, I was going to then work in Thailand for, at the time I thought, at least a year. And so my Japanese friends bought me a purple backpack. Imagine me with something purple. I love this backpack. They bought me a purple backpack. And everything I needed to live was in that backpack. And I remember thinking how cool that was, that for that year of my life, that everything I had could be put into this backpack. And now I think of the backpack sometimes like, what's happened to me? My gosh, I have so much stuff in my life. So now I've been kind of thinking about what would I put in that purple backpack for my adventures of 2020? And what would I leave behind because it's just too heavy and it doesn't serve me in my adventures? So just another fun lens to put on and think about this. The other thing that's been heavy on my mind in the most beautiful way is the thought of Marie Kondo of what brings us joy is really what brings us happiness. And for me, it really comes down to love. I believe that love is the greatest gift on the planet, and that the more we look around our life and try to realize what's most important to us, what most belongs in that backpack, are the things you can't see. The author of The Little Prince, Saint-Exupéry, said, what is essential is invisible to the eye. And I love thinking about that. My relationship with tea is more valuable to anything that I could possibly give her or that she could give me or things that we could possibly have. It's just time together is the greatest gift. So I wanted to share with you a poem, not a poem, a quote that I share every year, but really for me it is a mantra, and it's by the Sufi poet Hafiz. And he said, when all your desires are distilled, you will cast just 2 votes, to love more and to be happy. And I just wanted to break out the front end of that for you. When all life's desires are distilled, I think about desires, it's like, what do we want for ourselves in our lives? What do we hope for? To me, that's desires. And then I think of just the word distilled. Distilled is really like to boil something down to like the heart of it, like the essence of it is to distill something. And so really that is to say, like, when I am taking my last breath, when I am here to say, what can I boil my whole life down to meaning? It's love and happiness. I believe that with all my heart. And so this is a great time of the year to really evaluate what is in our life. So this is my little message to you after our mantra. Everything is energy, our body, our thoughts, the people and things we surround ourselves with. Again, ask yourself, what do you love? What brings you happiness? Surround yourself with love and happiness.